Spoiler alert. If you have not yet viewed this episode, I recommend seeking an alternative response. I will be delving into the details of this particular episode. I appreciate all the episodes, but the one I find myself watching most frequently is episode 24. For those unfamiliar with this episode, it is both humorous and entertaining. In this episode, BTS is deceived into participating in a nighttime zoo encounter while aboard a bus. The scene opens with BTS lined up in front of the bus, awaiting instructions from the staff regarding their activities. One of the staff members announced that they would be visiting the zoo at night to observe various animals, including tigers. The members were filled with excitement as they boarded the bus, completely unaware of the surprises that awaited them. As the bus began its journey, it entered a dark tunnel illuminated by red lights and enveloped in fog. The staff member suggested, if you look outside, you might spot some tigers. The members eagerly searched for tigers, but to their dismay, none were visible. Jean, peering out the window, was startled when the bus came to a sudden halt due to an obstruction. The group appeared confused and concerned about the situation. This is where the real action begins. The staff member switched to an acting mode, feigning panic as he claimed that zombies were surrounding the bus. It was at this moment that Jean realized they had been tricked. The staff then selected a volunteer to help clear the obstacles blocking the bus's path, which was supposedly filled with zombies. Among all the members, J-Hope was chosen. He was pulled from the bus, visibly frightened and screaming, while the others laughed at his reluctance. Eventually, he stepped outside. Once both the staff and J-Hope exited the bus, they were confronted by a horde of zombies on the road. J-Hope's task was to remove the obstacles impeding the bus's progress, such as signs and other objects. He worked quickly yet cautiously to complete his mission. Shortly thereafter, Hobie was startled by a zombie, prompting him to flee in a panic, inadvertently leaving one of his shoes behind. He only realized his shoe was missing when they returned to the bus. In the subsequent scene, BTS found themselves on the bus, where they learned that the zombies had stickers on their backs labeled A, B, and C. Their task was to venture outside, retrieve a sticker from a zombie, and form groups based on matching letters. With a mix of apprehension and determination, they exited the bus. Initially calm, the atmosphere shifted when Jean and Taeyoung began to run, pursued by a zombie. Unaware of the commotion, Yoongi turned around only to find a zombie directly in front of him, prompting him to instinctively adopt a boxing stance. Ultimately, amidst the chaos of screams and frantic movements, they all managed to collect stickers from the zombies. The resulting teams were as follows: Namjoon, Taeyoung, and Jungkook formed Team A, Seokjin and Yoongi comprised Team B, and Hoseok and Jimin made up Team C. Subsequently, they entered a building where they were informed that they needed to search for clues to achieve an unspecified goal. The challenge commenced as they navigated a narrow corridor stained with blood. 2 rooms were located on the left side of the hallway, but they were unaware that zombies lurked within, ready to frighten them. As Yoongi and Jean ventured forward, they were met with the sudden appearance of zombies, causing hesitation among the group. However, Team A chose to bypass the threat and proceeded to another room. After several attempts, Jean and Yoongi successfully dashed across the hallway, only to be startled by the cameraman, who they mistook for a zombie. Soon after, Jimin and Hoseok summoned their courage and carefully yet swiftly ran past the others, where they encountered Seokjin and Yoongi, both equally startled by one another in the process. Team A was actively engaged in their tasks within a small room, which also housed a zombie. Despite the unusual company, they remained undeterred in their mission to search for clues. Taeyoung was the first to notice the paintings of a girl displayed on either side of the walls. He recognized that the girl depicted in each artwork illustrated her growth over time. Each painting featured a scan bar, prompting Jungkook to scan them using their tablet. This led them to discover that they needed to locate a folder containing the girl's DNA and personal information. After successfully retrieving the folder, the team prepared to exit, but Jungkook suddenly remembered he had forgotten an item. He returned to the room, retrieved the object, and then left. Prior to this, Taeyoung had encountered another room that contained yet another zombie. However, his primary focus was on a ticket located within the room. He cautiously entered, paying little attention to the zombie beside him. Upon securing the ticket, he expressed gratitude to the zombie. Just as he was about to exit, the zombie attempted to frighten him, but the effort was in vain. Meanwhile, Hoseok and Jimin were also occupied. Jimin ventured into the two rooms flanking the hallway, as the zombies had vanished. He discovered numerous tickets and collected them. While Hoseok waited outside, he accidentally dropped several papers he was holding and bent down to pick them up, momentarily distracted. Suddenly, a zombie appeared unexpectedly, startling Hoseok. In response, he pressed himself against the wall, contorting his body into a star shape as he screamed in terror. As Hoseok dealt with his fright, Yoongi and Jin were engaged in their own activities. The situation unfolded when Jin realized his younger brother, Yoongi, was missing. He repeatedly called out, "Yoongi-ah? Yoongi? Where's Yoongi?" Eventually, Jin located him, but Yoongi was on the floor, engaged in a peculiar behavior. It seemed that Yoongi had aspirations of becoming a zombie himself. The two of them then stood up, wandered around, and stumbled upon a room filled with medical equipment and an assortment of zombie costumes. They decided to embrace the moment and dressed up, resulting in a comically absurd duo. They were initially frightened by the actual zombies, yet they managed to frighten them in return. Additionally, they tried to startle Jimin into believing they were part of the zombie horde, but this tactic proved ineffective, leaving Jimin looking perplexed. Following the ensuing chaos, it became apparent that several errors had occurred during the setup phase. The group encountered failures, primarily due to these mistakes and incomplete elements. The final challenge was what is commonly referred to as freeze tag. For those unfamiliar with the game, one individual serves as the tagger. In this scenario, the zombies assume that role. Participants must evade the tagger, and if tagged, they must remain frozen like a statue until a member of the non-tagger team comes to their aid by tapping them to unfreeze them. Essentially, this is the game BTS played, with the zombies acting as the taggers. BTS's objective was to evade being tagged by the zombies while searching for tickets for ARMY. Taeyong, embodying his playful nature, feigned being tagged and frozen in front of a zombie. However, the zombie was not deceived and promptly tagged him, dragging him away. Later, the same zombie approached Taeyong again, but he successfully prevented the zombie from tagging him. It seemed he was genuinely tagged and frozen, as he exclaimed, "Wait a minute or hang on to the zombie." The zombie paused and retreated while growling at him, prompting Taeyong to respond with a growl of his own. Meanwhile, Jin was sprinting to rescue Jimin and unfreeze him, all while evading the zombies that were guarding Jimin. At one point, Jungkook also found himself tagged during the escapade. After several enjoyable games and challenges, it was time to conclude the event. As they began to gather, Jin, in his characteristic manner, approached a female zombie and engaged in flirtation. He even presented her with a sticker featuring his own face. True to his nature, he introduced himself, declaring that he is worldwide handsome. After that, they all gathered round and talked about how much they had fun, and it was a great experience. They all said what they thought and ended with a cute and funny zombie pose with all the cosplayers that dressed up as the zombies in all the games. So, that's the recap of my favorite episode of Run BTS. If you watch all this way, thank you for watching, I highly appreciate it. Bye.